Yo, what's going on guys, Arekkz here, welcome back to another Destiny video. Today I wanted to do something a little different and talk about some of the questions I would like to see answered in Destiny 2. If you guys haven't already seen the video I uploaded the other day, then I put together a complete summary of the entire Destiny 1 story. Right from the very first encounter with the Traveler and the Golden Age, all the way up to our conflict with Siva and the Cabal then knocking on our door. And one of the most common remarks on that video, aside from the typical, "Wait, Destiny has a story?" comments, was the fact that there are still so many unanswered questions. Each expansion just picks up somewhere else, never truly answering what came before it, and while yes, there is some stuff we can learn from the Grimoire, there is still so much we simply don't have answers for. Also, since I've started digging a lot deeper into the Grimoire and Destiny's lore as a result of my new Index series, I'm uncovering yet more things I want to know about. So, cut a long story short, I have a lot of questions. And thus, we arrive at this video. Here, I'm going to talk about the top 10 things I want answers for in Destiny 2. Of course, it's highly unlikely we'll learn about all of this, but I thought I'd share my wish list with you anyway. So if you do enjoy this, then a like would be super appreciated, and be sure to comment down below with your questions, and also let me know what you are most hoping to find out more about in Destiny 2. Now, let's begin. First up, at number 10, before we start talking about super serious stuff, Bungie, can we please find out what's behind this door? I have been waiting patiently ever since the alpha, hoping that one day this door might open, and we might just find out what's behind it. The back of the tower is now open and we are free to walk in and out as we please, so why not this door? Is Destiny 2 behind the door? Is it a secret fire escape for when the Cabal invade? Maybe that's where Zur keeps all the good stuff that he never sells us, or perhaps that is where the ramen bar is that Cade spoke about in the teaser trailer. Honestly, we have no idea, but I would genuinely really like to know before the tower gets destroyed. Please? Next up, moving on to something more serious, at number 9, what happened to Mara Sov, Queen of the Reef? Is she really dead? For those of you that played The Taken King, you'll remember this scene, but in the event you didn't, then at the start of the expansion, Eris Morn warned us that Auryex was approaching and she convinced Mara Sov to mount an attack on the Dreadnought around Saturn. As is made very clear from the opening cutscene, this plan fails spectacularly, the entire Awoken fleet is wiped out, the Queen faints likely as a result of her using up too much energy, and then the cutscene ends, we're off to Phobos on our own personal quest, and nothing more is heard. Technically speaking, we didn't see her die, and if this was a movie, then if you didn't see someone die, they're generally speaking not dead. I mean, the Destiny 2 trailer shows a few people rocking Queen's Guard gear. Sure, they could have just had that gear from ages ago, but I'd like to think there's hope still. After that, coming in at number 8, what exactly is the Darkness? What we do know is that the Darkness is a powerful, ancient enemy of the Traveler that tracks it through the cosmos. We know it's responsible for the collapse, and the Hive believe that all light must be consumed in order for the Darkness to reclaim its domination. However, we've never actually encountered it ourselves. The Darkness employs minions to do its bidding, and some people will tell you that at one moment in time before Destiny was released, there was a version of the story where we ourselves were actually the Darkness. Interesting anecdote is that some of the fallen enemies used to say something along the lines of "the Darkness is coming" when we approached them in combat. But it's my understanding that they were simply leftover voice lines from when the story saw a somewhat drastic change pre-launch. Either way, question still remains, what exactly is the Darkness? It caused all this chaos, and since then we've had various enemies to deal with, many of whom are intrinsically linked to this mysterious force. But what next? Perhaps it's dormant, as it thinks the Traveler is dead, or perhaps it's not something we will ever encounter in its true form. Maybe it is exactly that, just a means to explain why all these enemy races are so hellbent on killing us. Moving on from there to number 7, Eris Morn. Is she actually on our side, or is she a secret sleeper agent for the Hive? In other words, is she good or bad? Now, I appreciate this one might seem a bit far-fetched. I mean, she's proven twice now that she's in fact here to aid us. She was a former Guardian, a hunter no less, so she's obviously one of the good ones, and she managed to survive down in the depths of the Hellmouth for a very, very long time. She returned to the tower to warn us of Crota's return, and guided us on our way to defeating him. Furthermore, leading up to the events of the Taken King, despite persuading Mara Sov to mount an attack that ultimately led to the destruction of the entire Awoken fleet, she did once again aid us on our journey to thwart Auryex, and she even helped us on the way to getting our swords. But it's clear to see the Vanguard still don't completely trust her. Back during the Dark Below, she was confined to the outskirts of the tower, and only during the Taken King was she welcomed into the Hall of Heroes, but even now she still stands by the staircase. It's pretty hard to shake the thought, she might have helped us, but what exactly happened to her in the Hellmouth? We know her light was taken, and she has that creepy high third eye. What if, here's me being far-fetched for a second, what if her intentions are good, but sort of like how there's a link between Harry Potter and Voldemort, thanks to his scar, what if she has some sort of Hive connection that she can't completely control? Perhaps there's a part of her that remains dormant, listening, waiting for a moment to strike. Again, we'll of course have to wait and see. Maybe we will never know. After that, jumping over to number 6. This is a question that I'm pretty sure everyone that's a year 1 Destiny player has. Who is the stranger? Don't give me that crap about not having enough time to explain. I want answers. She showed up out of nowhere after creeping on us for a while. She then sends us on a quest to Venus to ultimately destroy the Heart of the Black Garden, which obviously helps us out and the Traveller, so I appreciate she's here to help. And then she gives us this fancy yellow weapon at the end of the campaign. Now don't think just because I've got a shiny new weapon that I'm going to forget. What we do know is that she doesn't have a ghost and she roams the wild alone. And I feel like this might be an important thing to remember. In light of the events of the Destiny 2 trailer, remember that as Guardians, most of our power comes from the Traveller, and by extension, our ghosts. We also know that the Cabal have long been conducting research on ways to nullify our ability to resurrect, and in turn sever our tie with the Traveller. This would also go hand in hand with the official game blurb that states we've lost our powers and must work to learn new abilities. Assuming for a second that we can't rely on the Traveller, it's going to be especially important to learn from those that quite obviously don't need the Traveller's aid. The Stranger being one such example. No ghost, seemingly no tie to the Traveller, yet she has abilities. She can teleport, among other things, so let's hope that somehow she ties into Destiny 2. Now moving on to number 5, the Speaker. Without trying to turn this entire list into one big conspiracy theory, what are the Speaker's true intentions, and why was he chosen to be the voice of the Traveller? We know the Speaker has been around for a very long time, pretty much since the earliest days of the Lost City. He acts as an advisor to us, the Guardians, and at one point he had an apprentice, Osiris, but they ultimately ended up becoming bitter rivals over their differences, and eventually Osiris was exiled from the city. That's also, incidentally, why the Cult of Osiris don't like the Speaker. But why does he wear a mask? I'm a strong believer that if you don't have anything to hide, then why are you hiding? What is truly behind the mask? What if, I appreciate this is a ridiculous claim, but for those of you guys that have been following Destiny for a very long time, you'll remember that before the game came out, there was a cancelled playable race, the Tiger Man. What if the Speaker is the one and only Tiger Man? Anyway, that's a bit of a random one. Next up, linking nicely in with the Speaker, number 4, Osiris. As a very quick history lesson, Osiris, as mentioned a moment ago, was once an apprentice of the Speaker. He was originally appointed following the Battle of the Six Fronts. Saint 14 was impressed by his actions and recommended him to the Speaker, who took him on despite rumours about his origins and opposition to the Concordat. The two became very close, however gradually as time passed, Osiris began to grow weary of the countless missions and the dealings with the Cryptarch. He began conducting his own research into Thanatonautics, Ahamkara lore, Xur, and the Nine, as well as questioning the nature of the ghosts and the Traveller's motives. He also began diverting Vanguard resources in his quest for answers, and influenced some of the other Guardians, convincing them to abandon their posts at the city and pursue some of these questions. Long story short, the Speaker didn't like this. He feared this could disrupt the unity the city had and the faith in the Guardians, so Osiris was exiled from the city. Osiris, of course, had a number of disciples, Brother Vance, the host of the Trials of Osiris, being one of them. The Cult of Osiris have attempted in the past to see how far the light can be bent before it breaks, but since then, Osiris himself has vanished. Even those who follow him claim he is both alive and dead. Now, Osiris being someone that has conducted research into, let's be honest, all the most exciting things in the Destiny universe, I definitely want to know more about this character and the Osiris cult in general. We obviously have an Osiris-focused DLC coming at some point following the launch of Destiny 2, so hopefully this is one thing we might just get an answer to. Almost there now, this time in at number 3, the Nine. As one of the more mysterious races we have regular interaction with thanks to Xur, this is definitely something I'm keen to learn more about. The Nine are said to be rulers of the Jovians, which are the worlds beyond the Reef. Humanity colonised these worlds during the Golden Age, but following the collapse they haven't ventured much further than Jupiter, and as such the Nine rule these worlds. Xur, being our only Nine contact at this point, is often referred to as the trash collector of the Nine. What may be trash to them is often seen as exotic treasures to us, or more recently, still trash. Osiris is said to have met with the Nine on Europa, and according to Brother Vance, he says the Nine are vulnerable every moment they touch our world, which could also explain why Xur only hangs around for the weekend and then goes home. It's also said that the Nine's loyalty is in doubt following the apparent release of Skolas. Long story short, aside from our weekly interactions with Xur, we know very little about this group or this race, and yet the fact that they exist beyond humanity's current reach just makes me want to learn more. The solar system we're in right now is cool, but what lies beyond? What could we find were we to ever venture to the Jovians? Again, maybe we'll never know. Number 2, let's focus on an enemy race this time, the Vex. I appreciate Destiny 2 has a very distinct Cabal focus, but let's be honest, the Vex have always been the more interesting race. A race with the ability to manipulate time and space, yet still live under the belief that events are predestined. Also, rather interestingly, while our interaction with them has to date been with their robotic form, the Grimoire strongly suggests that these machines are merely vessels to contain the Vex. Supposedly, the Vex are instead a liquid race, a liquid substance with a central mind or core. In light of the recent Age of Triumph ornaments, specifically for the Hunter, seeing a Guardian with a robotic or a Vex leg raises a few interesting questions. Are the Vex able to corrupt or infect humans or Guardians? Well, the descriptions of a lot of the armor pieces would suggest so. If they're a liquid organism of sorts, then I'd imagine they're free to flow from host to host. So the ultimate question then remains, what if some of the Vex, given their ability to manipulate time, are in fact humans or Guardians from the future? It might sound a bit far-fetched, true, but if it's even remotely possible for the Vex to infect or use a Guardian as a host, then it might give us some more clarity as to some of the stuff we're seeing lately. Also, let's not forget that the Vex Mythoclast is described as an instrument from some far-flung corner of time and space, mysteriously fit for human hands. Its origins, mechanism of action, and ultimate purpose remain unknown. Perhaps it will reveal itself to you in time. That's the official quote. Seems a little bit strange that a Vex weapon may be built specifically around human hands. Again, at this stage, I appreciate I'm stretching things a little bit far, but we are in that interesting period of time before Destiny 2 comes out where there are so many questions, so many things unanswered, so it's still kind of interesting to play around with these ideas. And then finally, in at number 1, above all else, if I could only pick one thing in this list to find out more about in Destiny 2, it would be the Ahamkara. The Ahamkara, for those of you guys that don't know, are an ancient species that appeared in the solar system the same time as the Traveller. They're said to be wish-fulfilling dragons, sought out by many Guardians in search of power. However, at some point in Destiny's history, it was decided that the bargains made with these creatures came at too high a price. Typically, any time they would grant a wish, it would come with an associated cost, usually causing more harm than good. And as such, they were hunted to extinction in what was known as the Great Ahamkara Hunt, or the Great Hunt for short. Of course, many of the armor pieces we wear today sport Ahamkara parts, the bones of Ao being just one example, my favourite exotic to date. And while the Great Hunt was of course a quest to hunt them to extinction, there's no telling whether that was actually successful. I mean, if this mysterious species appeared at the same time as the Traveller, then I'd imagine it's within the realms of possibility that they could simply come and go as they please. Perhaps during the hunt some went into hiding, we really don't know. What is, however, interesting is the new item introduced in Age of Triumph, the Knuckles of Ao. Now, Ao, we're assuming, is an Ahamkara, and the description for this item reads, "Boons I grant you, O bearer mine, but debts must be paid in time." And of course, once you use it, the text prompt on screen says your wish has been granted. Since wishes from an Ahamkara come at a cost, the question is, when do we repay this cost? Could it be in Destiny 2? And on that note, that brings me nicely to the end of the video. Again, to reiterate, this was just my personal list of story and lore related things that I personally want answers to. There was of course some lore thrown in there to give you guys some context, but anything you are unclear on or you would like to find out more about, then I'll likely do in videos over time. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, then a like would be super appreciated. And take it easy. Catch you next time. Peace out.